Oh, zombies! My hair is gigantic, I know. Today is a Q&A of epic proportions because I'm gonna answer all of your juiciest, toughest questions. I'm not sure why I volunteered to do this. I think I want to feel close to y'all. I want y'all to feel close to me. And the best way to do that is to divulge all kinds of information that I'm usually too uncomfortable to put out there on my own. So, I don't go out of my way to tell you guys a lot of things going on in my brain and in my life unless directly asked. So I asked you guys on Twitter to ask me your toughest questions you don't think that I'll answer, and I'm going to pick a lot of them right now to answer. If I don't answer them, it's not because I don't necessarily want to. There were a lot of questions. I might have skipped a question either because I don't have a fully formed opinion on the matter or I don't really have a juicy answer for you. Let's get into it, shall we? It feels like there's water in this ear, but I can't fix it. My brain might fall out, I should be careful. Good jokes, Mikey. Off to a good start, dad jokes. Let's start with a softball question. Makeup look you've always wanted to do but scared it's too hard. I have many that I feel like I am not fully equipped to pull off well, and I'm the kind of person that doesn't like to half-ass things, or at least knowingly go into something thinking that it'll come out half-assed. But the look that I've wanted to do for a very long time, but I'm concerned is going to be too difficult for my skill set and or would not be done justice if I did it at my skill set, is the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth. I love him. I've been wanting to do him forever, but unless I can get like the jowls and the whole saggy skin suit, I'd have to cover my eyes, so it'd be really hard to do it myself. I'd have to like use my non-dominant hand probably to do some makeup on my dominant hand. He's such a cool creature that I feel like you cannot do him unless you are going to do him really freaking well. So if you ever see me attempt it, it'll be a good day, because that means that I pulled it off to some degree. There's a lot of questions like this. What is one YouTuber who is highly praised in the makeup community whom you don't like / don't think is that talented? You guys are trying to get me in some shit. I got a lot of questions like this, so I feel like I need to address this to some degree. But I will not be naming names because I'm a grown-ass adult who's not in middle school anymore. Makeup in particular, I don't really care if I don't tend to like someone's personality. I just won't watch them, which I think more people should adopt. But there is some room in makeup for things to go badly, specifically in FX. You can do a lot of things in FX that are really unsafe for your body. It's tricky because part of why FX is so lovable, I think, is because it's a medium where you can be pretty creative and experimental with how to achieve different things. But sometimes I think some channels forget or purposely neglect to trying to word this very carefully because I don't want to start a bunch of speculation in the comments and I don't want to do this like drama thing. I think some channels neglect the safety side of what they're doing a little bit too much. So I would say that any makeup channel that has time and time again recommended unsafe things is one that I am pretty uncomfortable with, because that will affect the subs watching that are most likely younger, impressionable, are trusting that channel to give them good information, professional information. And while I really am bothered by this idea that makeup artists on YouTube are not real makeup artists because a lot of us come from real professional makeup backgrounds, it is true that some makeup artists, quote, on YouTube do not have a professional background and also don't seem to have a lot of intention to learn the important aspects of what makes someone the difference between a makeup hobbyist and a makeup professional. Things like sanitation, safety, etc. That was wordy. Let's see if we can cut that one down in post. Have you ever dealt with any mental health problems? Yes, and this also ties in with another question I got. What was your rock bottom moment and how did you come back from that? Let's talk about this shit for a while. Oh, I need to get comfortable for this one. Look at that shiny shoulder. Ooh. So yes, I have dealt with really crippling anxiety twice in my life. It hasn't been an ongoing thing, but it was extremely bad 2 times for at least a month at a time, both times, where my entire life was on pause. The first time it happened was towards the end of my job at a casino where some bad things happened there that just kind of triggered it in me, where I had my first panic attack and then they wouldn't stop. And then I kind of got stuck in this mental circle of really terrible thoughts and not being able to slow down my heart rate and not being able to sleep and thinking I was never going to leave my house again and thinking I wouldn't be able to move to LA, which I had been saving for years at that point. I was really close to finally doing it. I had a move out date set. I thought that everything was about to get destroyed because I just couldn't function. I couldn't even fathom the idea of going to a grocery store. My solution that time was to quit my job at the casino. And before I could even finish my 2 weeks there, another really bad thing happened. That could be a whole storytime video in itself. Perhaps for the second channel, because I will be posting on that again, I swear. Which made it worse, and I think prolonged the state in which things were really bad. I eventually got out of it and moved to LA. I'll tell you how I got out of that in a second, because for both times it was very similar. I think my true rock bottom was the second time it happened though, which was while I was on YouTube. You guys hopefully have not noticed when it occurred, because I was trying really hard to not let it dismantle everything. It happened in November of 2015. It was right after I won the Face Awards. It was right after I hit 1 million subscribers. It was the first moment I had ever had any sort of breather since I started YouTube. I 100% overdid everything, going from 0 subs to 1 million. I didn't give myself time to relax ever. I worked like crazy. I pulled all-nighters all the time. I worked while I was on vacation visiting family. I worked in my sleep, it felt like. I had a lot of pressure on me that Halloween to do something really epic and big because it was coming off the heels of winning the Face Awards, but I was so drained from the Face Awards creatively, mentally, physically, that it was really hard for me to produce something really extravagant for you guys that Halloween, and I still tried. But I got a lot of criticism about the videos that I put out that Halloween, where people just felt like it wasn't enough and they weren't happy, which was my biggest fear. And I think I internalized all of this in a giant mental ball until one day, the first day that I went on sort of a vacation to visit Chase's family, I completely just broke. Like my brain, it felt like just broke. I think I thought I beat anxiety the first time, and I never thought I'd have it again. And I didn't get why I had it again. I mean, looking back, I get why my brain just kind of freaked out. But at the time, it seemed like there was no reason to panic. So it really confused me, and I thought, oh no, like I have an actual thing where my brain is not functioning the way it's supposed to function. That time was rock bottom for me, because that set off a spiral of a month or two of really, really crippling anxiety. Again, didn't want to leave my apartment, didn't feel like I was going to have a normal life, didn't feel like I could take care of myself, felt like I was going to lose everything I had just built. And it was scary because I really couldn't shut off my brain for what felt like forever. The thing that got me through both times, first of all, was meditating. I'm personally not a fan of prescription drugs. I am even less of a fan of antidepressants or things like Xanax. I was prescribed Xanax and I never took it because it freaks me out. Mentally, I knew that it would never quite work for me because it would always feel like a security blanket for me and not fixing the actual root of the problem. What was important to me was knowing that I could fix it myself. Not that I wouldn't rely on anyone to help get me through it, but I didn't want to rely on a pill, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do if you're in a similar situation. That was just my preference. So both times meditating got me out of the vicious cycle long enough to start to reevaluate what was happening in my life. I meditated every single day for at least 20 minutes. I wasn't good at meditating in terms of actually quieting my mind, but just trying honestly does wonders. There's a lot of scientific studies that support the idea that really significant changes can happen in your brain when you meditate consistently, that I highly recommend you guys check out if you're interested in something like that. The second thing that helped me this second time around, because I realized meditation itself didn't prevent this from happening again. There's something about my thought patterns that lead me to this mindset that eventually I crumble under. And the thing that has helped me tremendously since then, I mean, like literally life-changing. I feel like as much as I blame anxiety for a lot of bad things in my life, I might not have ever learned the benefits of these other things if it wasn't due to the necessity of learning them. I've since done a lot of research into perspective and how much perspective is. This is a whole other video in itself. It's all common sense stuff, but it's stuff that sometimes you need to hear. Just anything, basically brain hacks. Anything that teaches me to interrupt my bad mental habits that I've gotten very accustomed to having and be the boss lady that I know that I actually am. Have you ever met a YouTuber who is different in real life to online? Yeah, I mean, most of them come across at least a little different. And I think that's just because when we film, we are on. So actually, this reminds me of another question that I got. Let me find it. How fake is your online persona? I feel like with every person online, at least part of who they are is hidden or faked. So this is a good question to follow up from the whole anxiety thing. I certainly wouldn't call my online persona fake at all. The most hype you've ever seen me in a video is 100% me in real life sometimes. I do videos where I'm pretty mellow, which is also me in real life. I think the only thing that is hidden is a lot of us try to hide our struggles or our complaints, because I think there's sort of this taboo against influencers complaining, because in a lot of ways this is a dream job to many people. So we get a lot of shit if we complain pretty much about anything. So I think we kind of learn to internalize that quickly. And with any job, there are ups and downs. The way that I like to describe this job in particular is it kind of unexpectedly has really high highs, but really low lows. And I don't just mean for me, I mean pretty much any friend that I have that does this as well, that I've talked to, seems to be going through their own version of something very similar. So for example, I wouldn't say that I've ever faked who I am, but I've certainly tried to turn on the best parts of me or the happier parts of me long enough to film the video that I need to film. When I had that bad period of anxiety in November, December of 2015, you can watch videos from around that time. I think the Candy Cane Queen tutorial that I did, I think that was the first video where I was back since it had happened. And I wasn't fully out of it yet. And when I watch that video and I just see like a lot of pain in my face and I see a lot of worry in my face, even though I'm trying my best not to show it, because at the end of the day, the thing that I found that I love most about making videos is not doing makeup. It's making you guys laugh. It's making you guys happy. It's making you guys feel like you have something to lift you up when you've had a shitty day. So I try to joke and be goofy and have fun. It doesn't always work. I'm also realizing that I can make people feel better, not just by making them laugh, but by saying things that they can relate to, even if they are negative things. So maybe that's what this video is for some of you. On to the next. Can you tell us your most embarrassing story? Okay. All right. Okay. So I have a lot of embarrassing stories. There is no shortage of dumb things I've done. I tend to not feel embarrassed though when I do dumb things. That's kind of the caveat. If I ever, say, won an Oscar and was going up the stairs for the first time in front of millions of people on live television and, I don't know, like tripped on my dress and fell, I feel like I could brush that off. However, one story that's more recent jumped into my brain as soon as I heard this question, because I was embarrassed because it affected someone else this time. It wasn't a self-embarrassment thing. It was like an absolute mortification. Is that a word? Because I did something I know better than to do. This happened within the past year. That's the other embarrassing part of this, is that I can't even brush this off and be like, I was 17, I was dumb, I didn't know. Oh, this is a fan experience I had where I embarrassed the hell out of myself. Get your popcorn ready, we're getting into it. I was at one of my favorite stores in the entire world. It's a furniture store, freaking love it. I was going through the aisles and I saw this older man, like middle-aged older man, walking with this very young, pretty woman. And at one point in the store, I was going this way and the man had just walked past me, and I guess I should have realized that like the woman was probably following close behind, but I didn't think about it, and me and the woman almost ran into each other. We couldn't see each other because it was like a blind spot between aisles. We almost ran into each other, and as soon as that happened, she kind of looked at me, and I swear, she covered her stomach. Like she was protecting it. I think you guys know where this is going. Bear with me. I don't think too much of it other than shit, sorry. Like, didn't mean to almost run into you. And okay. I walk away, and a couple minutes later, that girl walks up to me with that man, and they ask me if I'm Mikey. And I was already a little bit embarrassed because I had almost just run into her. But I'm also, just so you know, usually pretty taken aback when someone recognizes me in person. I'm always excited to meet zombaes in person. I love when you guys come up and say hi to me. Sometimes I don't know what to say, and I say dumb things. So this girl says hi to me, and I swear, right after she asks if I'm Mikey, and I say yes, she touched her stomach again. Like, she put her hands on her stomach in a way that a mother puts her hands on her stomach when she's protecting her unborn child. I don't know, I feel like this, I feel like that is the universal symbol of I'm pregnant. But she's really young, and I thought, like, not that I judge age gaps, but I'm thinking, like, that's kind of an odd couple because there's a pretty giant age gap there, and I don't know what's going on, but I try to say more than just hi to a zombie when I meet a zombie. I want to make sure that they get, like, a real human interaction out of me. I know that a lot of people feel awkward or nervous saying hi to me, so I try to make sure that I say something that makes them feel comfortable and like they're not talking to anyone scary right away. I did a great job this time. My brain just short circuits and asks her if she's pregnant. And I don't know why I did that, because I know you should never, ever ask a woman if she's pregnant unless she's perhaps crowning. I know that. But for some reason I asked her anyway. And as soon as the words came out of my mouth, and as soon as I saw her face, here's the other thing I should mention. She's not fat, she's not big, she didn't look pregnant. Honestly, she didn't look pregnant. The only reason I thought she was because of the hand motion, not because of her looks, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, as soon as I saw the look on her face and the look on his face, I wanted to crawl in a hole and die. And she said, nope. And he laughed and he was like, this is my niece. She's like 17. And I was like, Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not pregnant. That was a dumb question. And then he actually talked up a storm with me about, I think a dog sitting thing. I don't know, I kind of blacked out. I don't think I've felt that terrible about myself in a very long time, because there was no way to stop her in that moment. I mean, I tried to tell her, like, oh, I only thought that because I thought you did a thing. You don't look like you're pregnant. But I didn't want to dwell on it too much because I was trying to not make it a bigger deal. It's a confusing hand gesture, okay? And frick, she was really nice. I feel really bad. I still cringe every time I think about it. I know better. That is the most embarrassed I've been in a very, very long time. I can't honestly think of a time I've been more embarrassed than that, actually. Sometimes you just word vomit in the worst way possible, and that's what happened to me that day. It is unforgivable. I am still ashamed. You can bash me all you want in the comments because I deserve it. Let's move on. All right, this was asked several times in many different ways and forms with a lot of likes. Are you and Chase still together? No, we're not. And it's okay. We are still friends. Although I will say, you guys have been asking me this question long before we were not together. Like, anytime he wasn't in a video that week, you guys thought that we broke up, and we hadn't. So, in the future, maybe like cool it on that. Now I live with my best friend, Katie, who I worked with at the casino many years ago in Pennsylvania. And she's such a beautiful baby. You guys will, I'm sure, meet her soon because I'm trying to convince her to do a video with me because I think that we would have a lot of fun doing it and you guys would have fun watching us, but she's being Katie, so, leave some comments telling Katie to get over it so that we can get the show on the road. What was the worst experience you ever had when it came to doing a client's makeup? Okay, so I guess technically a client of mine was an actor on a film that I was working on. This actor is pretty well known. There's one very iconic role in particular that I can't imagine most people have not seen. But I do not want to name names because he actually somewhat recently passed away. But the story I will tell in vague details then. So I did his makeup for the film, and we just needed kind of like basic makeup, and we didn't discuss a whole lot. But later on set, in front of everybody, mind you, this is a grown-ass man, and I am a 23-year-old, or something around there. We're standing on set, and he's literally making fun of me, teasing me, making jokes at my expense, not laughing with me kind of thing, just straight up teasing me like he's a bully in middle school about how fair I am and that I'm a redhead. Just like going at it, making everyone else around him awkward laugh, like uncomfortable laugh kind of thing. Just like being a child. He's being an asshole. Like there's no other way to kind of put a bow on that. And because I was a professional on set, I didn't feel like it was appropriate for me to stand up for myself. I was a makeup artist trying to break into that industry and make sure that I made good connections on set, and I got other jobs through working on that set. And he was a well-known actor who I don't want to piss off. The kind of person I am, it really sucks to feel like I can't say anything or stand up for myself when someone is being like that. I would say otherwise though, for the most part, I've had pretty good experiences with everyone else that I've worked with that have been my clients. For the most part, I would say that's the one that stands out the most as a time that just felt like shit. Like I was supposed to be the doormat. But I lived. It could have been worse. I will definitely say that. Do you regret getting a side shave? I keep flip-flopping on mine. I love it, then I hate it. No, but I'm a little concerned with how much of a bitch it'll be to grow it out when I finally decide to grow it out. I thought I was gonna grow it out recently, and then I have good hair days, and I'm like, I don't wanna grow it out, so I might be stuck with it forever unless I decide to shave my whole head one day. We'll see. Why do you have lube in handy? That's a pretty punny phrase, by the way. Why do you have lube in hand for that one video? I genuinely have always had that lube for my FX kit. When I worked my first FX job at a haunted house, they gave me lube and they taught me how to use it for faces and zombies. So it's just part of the job. It's one of the funner parts of the job. It's a great conversation starter. Is there a healthy balance within perfectionism? And if so, I'm just gonna stop you right there. The answer is no. Or at least not that I've found so far. We'll report back if I ever figure it out. Do you plan on having children sometime? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I have a feeling that by the time I'm ready for children, I won't be able to physically have children, but I would certainly be open to adopting or like freezing the eggs or something. I don't know. If not, I'm happy with having dog children my entire life. Wawa or sheets? Come on now. I can't find it right now, but I know I saw this question. Somebody basically said that in my last Q&A, I hinted that Mikey was not entirely my real name, and what is my real name? I knew this question would come up when I told you guys to ask me things you don't think that I'll answer. I was prepared to go into this. I've said it on Twitter once before, actually. My first name is Lauren, and my middle name is Michael, spelled M-Y-C-H-A-L. So I go by Mikey as a nickname to my middle name, and that started because it was sort of a nickname that I already had, but when I got my first FX job, there were 4 other Laurens, I think, at that haunted house, so they told me to pick another name to go by, and then I just started to associate my FX jobs and career with the name Mikey. So to me, Lauren is a personal name that personal friends and family call me, and Mikey is sort of my professional name, even though it sounds less professional. Therefore, please do not start calling me Lauren just because you know that that's my first name. I still prefer to be called Mikey if you are a zombie. Unless you know my mother, unless you know, like, my favorite food as a child because we grew up together genuinely. Don't even try it, okay? I think that's a good place to stop though, because that's probably why you guys were all still watching, was just to hear if I was gonna say that. There are so many other good questions that I wish I could have gotten to, but this is already going to be super long. Maybe I will do this again then if you guys liked it, but I hope you learned some things. I hope something in here helped you maybe, or just gave you some new perspective on this stuff, please subscribe if you're not already. Hit the bell next to subscribe because that basically is the new subscribe button. Like this video if you'd like to see a second one with the other questions, or you just enjoyed this one. Don't start speculating like crazy in the comments about who I might be talking about, because that's not the point of this video. It's really not. It's just to give some insight. You feel me? I love you guys very much. It's cool to even talk about these things with you because I feel like we've bonded, / I've bonded very well to the camera sitting in front of me right now. That's my life. All right, bye. I'm a lady. And because I know you're all gonna ask and be pissed at me for not telling you. This is a mix of espresso and Café au Chic, I think it's called, by MAC.